Welcome to Mental Health, the Crisis in Our Time. My name is Ann Bergen. I'm the host of this series of programs with the purpose of calling attention to the mental health crisis, which is truly an epidemic in our country, impacting all ages, across all socioeconomic levels. And the cost to taxpayers is in the billions and billions of dollars annually. As a former principal, I have known too many of my former students who have chosen to end their lives, have succumbed to overdoses, and too many are feeling lost and hopeless. Their lives are derailed. Mental health issues impacting families and the community, they play out in our schools. They don't start there. They play out there. And then so teachers are on the front lines trying to deal with the enormity of these mental health issues. And too often the resources are being taken away from them. And it truly is an enormous issue. But along these same lines, when we talk about the mental health crisis, it's the impact of social media. Now, we've talked a lot about the impact of social media, but I think one aspect that we don't talk about enough is this. The more young people are descending into the world of social media, the less they're interacting with adults. And it's the job of adults to transmit values, to shape character, to build resilience. So now, young people are getting their guidance from kids their own age, from Silicon Valley content creators, from the Kardashians, the people who are least qualified to help our young people deal with the challenges of life. That's why parents and teachers matter more now than ever. So that's why I invited two of the most extraordinary educators I am honored to know to be here today. And they both happen to be music educators, and there's a reason for that. I want to make it very clear, because the research is so clear about the importance of music in the lives of our kids, and we're seeing the consequences when that importance is diminished. So I welcome both of you, Diane Plouffe, Jamie Barrett, and I want to thank you for taking the time, busy schedules. I know how hard you both work, and it matters a lot that you're here because it speaks to the importance of this issue. So just so people who don't know you, and I think almost everyone in our community does, but can you, Diane, starting with you, can you give us a little bit of what your role is now and what your background is, and tell us a little bit about you, and then Jamie?
Sure. So I'm Diane Plouffe, and I'm the K-12 Director of Visual and Performing Arts.
Oh, it's called Visual and Perform. Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
So a couple of years ago, I took over for visual and then performing arts because theater is in there as well.
Of course, that's right. Yes.
So I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
You hired me way back. We were talking about this earlier, way back when, and I've been here while Franklin's gone through many ups and downs, and it's a wonderful community, and I'm still happy to be here, even though we're struggling.
Yeah.
But we'll talk more about that.
That's right. We absolutely will. Jamie?
And this is my 26th year. I started in 1999 and was hired by Eric Liederber and Dr. Warren. And back
Eric was a music. Right? He was really good, wasn't he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. When I think that. Yeah. So you go way back too.
I
Yeah.
go way back.
Yeah. So
99.
Yeah.
Yep.
And 97 for me.
97 for you. I always joke with the kids I used to ride a dinosaur to school when I first started. They get a kick out of that. But I teach at elementary music on a 6-day rotating schedule these days. Jefferson for 3 days and Oak Street for the other 3 days. Elementary music, which is general music and chorus. And we also teach ukuleles and recorder. And I'm also currently teaching the after-school chorus program, and sometimes when it works in my schedule, I do after-school guitar lessons as well.
where the heck do you fit all that in when you think about it? It's really amazing, isn't it? Oh, goodness. But it is. We'll talk about it, too. But it's the travel going from school to school and all of that. But just knowing both of you and the impact that you have in the lives of our kids, it's really extraordinary. And I was talking to, before we came on, I was talking about the skill that, just as a strings teacher, is that, if wording that correctly, if that's the correct term, but the level of skill that you had and where you were able to bring those kids. We were so lucky to have both of you. I know, really,
Oh,
but
gold here.
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
right?
oh, seriously,
Right.
Students,
year after
yeah.
year after
And then
year.
I
Wow.
watch you and how the kids just flock to you, and the and what it matters is as role models that you are for young people, you know, and especially with men in their lives too. You know, when you think of that, the importance. The research is really clear about that. So again, I digress, but I wanted to thank you both for coming, and I wanted to start maybe a little bit with the big picture of what we're seeing now. A little bit. I interview and talk to a lot of teachers, and I know. Some of what's going on in the schools in terms of some of the emotional issues that you're seeing and that we're seeing. Can you speak a little bit about the kinds of things that you're seeing and the issues that will help people understand and put it in a big picture, what educators are dealing with and what the needs and resources are that we need in the schools? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to start? Do you want me to start?
You start.
I can
jump.
start.
Yeah.
So I'm mainly at the high school at this point. I had taught middle school orchestra for 20 some odd years. And then when I became the director, I moved to the high school. And what we're seeing now, I mean, I think we've always seen it. It's not new, but it's increasing. Past COVID, I would say, is very high anxiety levels.
Yeah.
Depression, social anxieties.
Yeah.
And then because of that, you're seeing behavior problems.
Of course.
So
It's not like kids are bad. It's just
no,
that they're
of course
right.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
No such thing.
No
But-
such thing
Exactly.
as bad kids.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Taken many courses.
And
for that.
you're not saying that in any way, but you're just saying
Right.
as a result of that, yeah.
And I think there's a lot of pressure that they put on themselves to be successful and to take
It's
all
huge.
the AP classes and to
It
be
is
the top of their
huge,
class.
Diane.
And
It is huge.
and it's very
Yeah.
difficult on them. And I think
Yeah.
I see that as the number one cause of anxiety, that and social anxiety.
Yeah.
And there's many things, but
Yeah, and it's so sad to be seeing it at the elementary
Yeah.
level in such high numbers. I mean, never used to talk about depression or just the anxiety. Kids are nervous about just everything. It's just, it's really, it's sad to see.
But when you talk, and you hit the nail on the head, because recently, it was a couple of years ago, there was a survey of the high school kids, and they said the number one issue causing them anxiety was academic pressure.
right.
And this pressure that somehow we think that everyone has to take 85 million
Yeah.
AP courses, and they have to be the president of 72 clubs, and they're running from one thing to another and feeling that somehow they're less than, or yeah, so that's something that the Mental Health Task Force at the has been focusing on too, and trying to get that message out to parents. So thank you for number one, getting that message out. But you're seeing it all. But so what I was going to ask you is to start also to frame the discussion is to help people understand the importance of music in kids' lives, the importance, why it is on so many different levels. I don't know who wants to start with that one, but it's just one of the messages we have to get out, because as people are making budgetary decisions to say, oh yeah, I'll chop music off, but speak to us about why it's so important.
You can connect to kids. I mean, music is everywhere, and for kids to just realize that and help them realize that at a young age too, that it's everywhere. It's in the video games, it's in the TV, but if you can make those connections to the kids. But furthermore, like in the classroom, the kids are, they have opportunities to really, I always say my mission is to have the kids be all they can be through music, and have them realize all they can be through music, through movement, through playing instruments, through singing, through dance, through,
It's all of those things,
it's
isn't
all
it?
of those things, and
Yeah.
where else do they get an opportunity to do all that? Like, and it's such a large space, and they can just really explore, you know.
And you have them do it. You said recorder. Is it? How do you pronounce ukulele? I mispronounce it.
So-
I say it
you
differently
don't.
from him.
So a few years ago, I started saying ukulele because once I learned that over in Hawaii, where the instrument originates, they say ukulele. So I've made the conscious effort
I like
to-
that. No,
so
that's good.
So I say ukulele, but I both are, flutist, flautist, ukulele. So
Yeah, because I remember the recorder when I was little, and I can still, third grade, thumb, 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 1, 1, 2, 1, thumb, 3, 8, 4, 4, the clown. But anyway, so speak.
And
so,
your parents loved it, right?
my mother would make me go in the bathroom and close the door. There were 6 kids. She said, "Get out of here." She didn't build my love of music.
but it sounded better, the acoustics in the bathroom if you had tile. So
It was really good there. Anyway, yeah. So add on to that, what in terms of
Why is it
why is it
important?
important? Yeah.
I look at music as Music and the arts, by the way.
Yeah, include all
Music
of it, because
and the
especially
arts.
like when you think about the importance of theater, oh my
Theater,
goodness.
exactly,
My
and the visual
goodness.
arts.
And the visual,
right?
yeah, talk to
Everybody
us.
Everybody is different as far as their talent and their love and their what connects to them. But I look at it there's millions of reasons why they're all important, but I look at three main things. Number one is it's a subject just like any other.
Yeah.
And you hit the nail on the head with that, is that it surrounds us. What other subject involves us all the time?
Yeah.
Where you go to the grocery store, you hear music. You're in the car, what do? You turn on your music. Why not learn more about that? It surrounds us.
Yeah.
So it's a subject, and it's not a simple subject. It's a subject like any other.
Yeah.
It can be complicated if you get to the higher levels. So that's, to me, almost the third reason to love music. The second, before number one, is the skills that you get. It's not, we're not teaching students to be, our goal is not to teach students to go out and be the best musicians and performers and make a living in music. Sure, you get them once in a while, and that's a gift when you get that. It's like, wow, we have a couple at the Oberlin Conservatory right now. They're everywhere. They're doing great. But our main goal is to create really great human beings. Organization, collaboration, creative thinking, all these wonderful things that come from studying an instrument makes you a better person in no matter what pathway you choose. So the lessons they learn by studying an instrument and being part of a larger ensemble, you can take in any field that you go into. So to me, that's number two. Number one, for me, the number one reason right now especially, and which ties into what we're discussing today, is they need subjects that they can connect with emotionally.
Exactly.
That's not academic. Academics are important, obviously, but they need something that they can go to and sort of let that stress, let their shoulders relax and say, I'm going to do something that I enjoy, taking an art class and painting. Taking a music class, take a theater class. You can think creatively. You can be with your friends. It's a community that you don't get elsewhere. There's so many students that are have their clubs or their communities throughout the school, athletes especially. Our students, we recommend obviously that they participate in sports. It's great. We want them doing everything, getting all the experiences they can get. But some of those kids are not, some of those music and arts kids maybe aren't athletic, and they don't have a place that they feel is home, or they have people to connect with outside of music and theater. So, by reducing that, we're really taking something away, even more important than a subject. We're taking away a home for these kids.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say, to piggyback, just a couple things I just want to touch upon that you were just talking about. But the arts, you often hear it said that our jobs of tomorrow, we need the arts for that creativity to create the jobs of tomorrow, because the jobs of tomorrow don't even exist yet, but you need that creative element. You need that everything that the music provides.
That was I just happened to be reading the research on creativity and music, and you look at sort of the most important innovators in the world have had a music background, and we talk about the needs of the 21st century in terms of being music.
Albert Einstein.
Music. But I was going to ask you one other thing, and I don't know if you see this as significant or not. Obviously, it's the beauty of music, and I was thinking about I was talking to my husband. I said, imagine watching any TV show or any movie without music, and how it touches on the every single, without music, it's nothing. It's all of that. Yeah.
I was going to say, case in point, it's not everyone's cup of tea, but the movie Halloween that came out in '78 was, when they screened it for audiences, was an absolute bomb because there was no music. John Carpenter, who created the movie, also was the composer, went home and created that added that music, turned it right around, and made it a smash. And it was because of the music.
Yeah. But you think about how, especially now, it's one thing when kids are in school, but then as adults, if we don't have music, if we haven't learned to appreciate music, to know and to know where to go to find beautiful music and how it soothes the soul, and how in this time we really, really need it. But here's the other question I was going to ask you, something I thought about when I was you know, it was a long time ago, and it was like, you know, before the dinosaurs. But when I remember in music class, and I learned through music, I learned the entire history of our country. I learned Erie Canal, Sweet Betsy from Pike. I learned all the patriotic music. I learned the Negro spirituals through music class. And I thought, what a way to learn history, right? Is that still part of the...
Oh, yeah.
See?
Oh, I was going to say, Follow the Drinking Gourd, we still, you know, I'm just going to say all those wonderful songs that teach, you know, it brings up, like every time I teach the students the Star Spangled Banner, we're learning about Fort McHenry, the defense of Fort McHenry, and the War of 1812, you know, and so they're learning all about this, and they learn about how Catherine Lee Bates, a Cape Cod teacher, went out and hiked Pikes Peak and was inspired to write America the Beautiful. So they're learning this history. And,
That's great.
And what better?
And tying poetry with music.
And poetry.
I did want to tie
Go ahead,
one
keep
more
going.
thing, just but.
I love this. This is good.
Well, there's so many studies out there, right,
Yeah.
about the importance of music. And it's important, you know, when you hear all the you know, people say, oh, music supports all these other academics and how it's very important. But music on its own is very important too. And I love the studies that show that, and this is not to discredit anything or just downplay, but of any subject or any activity that a person engages in, it's music that fires up the brain more than anything else. More than anything else. It's like, apparently, there's a video you can watch. I don't know if it's a TEDx or something, or like a video. It's not a TED Talk, but it's like a animated video on YouTube. And it shows it clearly. It shows you, this is what happens when you do this, when you do this activity, when you do this subject, whether it's math or science or whatever. And music, it's like the 4th of July. It's all over the brain. Just lighting it up.
And isn't it interesting? It's apart from, you know, schools and all of that, but when you think about music in terms of people in hospice, we think people with living with dementia. It's music. It's if people don't come from that background and know the importance of music, really, it's every aspect of life, isn't it? So now we get to the depressing side of all of this. Is I know from my own experience as a principal. I'll give you one thing to start off with. When the middle school was renovated, there was a beautiful music room created in the current middle school with keyboards for every student in the class, and then music was cut from the as budgetary, you know, and we lost it. And heartbreaking for me, because you know, when there are constraints on the budget, one of the first things to go is you know, unfortunately. So can you speak now to, when you look at the history, I have some, because having been there and seen what we were and where we are now, what we've lost. And I think it's important for people to know that, understanding the importance of it, and then seeing it go away or being diminished. Can you guys speak to that a little bit? Because I think that's really important.
Numbers about how we've lost like 2/3 since I've been here, like 2/3 of the music department. I mean,
that much.
So when we began, it would be in similar times, I came on board, and there were 5 elementary general music teachers, I believe, 2 instrumental teachers, so an orchestra and band. And then middle school we had 3 general music teachers, chorus teachers, band director, chorus, orchestra at each school. It was we were at where we should be.
Yeah, exactly.
To service the students of Franklin. And then in the early 2000s, the elementary general music program was cut. The middle, did I say general music? Instrumental. Instrumental was cut.
I remember.
Middle school general music was cut, which was when your keyboards disappeared.
Yeah.
And then classes at the high school were reduced. And then now, I had them written down. I didn't bring in my notes. But this year we went from, as I was saying, we had, I believe, 23 when I began here, and right now we're down to 7 for K through 12. So we've lost our theater. Middle school orchestra is after school for 1 year. We're fighting to get it back. We've lost audio production, and we've lost
all those skills of the future.
General music at the elementary level, 1 teacher.
I was going to say, you were saying 5 elementaries. I remember it was 6 because there were the 5 days of the week. That was a thrill for me when I first came on board. I was able to conduct the Jefferson Band. So not only the chorus, but the band too, and I was real sad to see that go because I loved that.
And at that time we had Davis there and the
Yes.
one-room schoolhouse.
Yeah, the Red Brick School.
That's right.
I
Of
taught
course,
there.
I remember
Yeah,
that
it was
one,
Cindy
yes.
Douglas. I used to I'd go over and teach the one music class over there.
But I think too, when you think about, we were talking about the theater program alone, and I just remember that so many of my former students, when they went to the high school, some of the ones who couldn't find a place for themselves any other place,
Yes.
they gravitated there, and it saved them, and it allowed them to shine in ways, like you said, they weren't football players, or some of them, sometimes there was an overlap, but
Right.
but it gave them that place. But to have that go away,
Yeah, and not only saved them, but gave them a place to shine.
exactly.
Where they gained confidence
That's
and changed their lives.
Yeah.
So many parents have emailed saying you've not me, but the theater director,
Yeah.
or you've changed their lives.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Can you relate to that, Diane? Like that was me in high school. Whenever I had an
yeah.
open period, where was I? I was in the band room.
Right.
I was
Yeah,
down in the
that's
music
it.
room. Oh, I had a spot where that's where I was.
But I remember middle school kids, and there'd be some kids we had at that time, because we could have actually we had like a woodworking thing. One of the teachers loved the number of kids who ran there, but then the number of the kids who ran to band, and something I couldn't relate to because I couldn't play any instrument. I just didn't have the talent. But to see the love and how much that meant to them to be able to go, I could not wait to get there, just like you as a kid, So it's just, but I think that's the thing, is like, so what? How are we calling attention to this? How do we get the word out? I guess this is one way we get the word
Sure.
out, right? It's to keep talking about it, right?
Right.
I think talking about the importance of
Right.
like how important it is in the lives of the students, and even the ones that go under the radar, the ones that you're not even. I mean, at the elementary level, we hit every kid. I mean, we touch every kid. Every kid gets
That's right.
it.
Every kid.
Every kid gets it, and they
Yeah, what's concerning, excuse me, what's concerning to me is when students leave the 5th grade right now, if they elect to not participate in band, chorus, or orchestra in middle school, their music education is done in the 5th grade.
Wow.
And that's sad.
Wow.
Because
when
by
you
the
put
time
it that way, yeah.
by the time they get to high school, they've been so removed from it that they're not even thinking down that music lane.
Wow.
So that's my goal, is to get music education back for all students.
Because I guess that was the other thing, and you hit on it, was how much of the stuff is like now after school that has to be paid for, which bothers me terribly. I'm just curious
Right.
about that.
Right. So as
As a
everything
public school.
Right. As things are reduced, they're placed after school. So it becomes those who have and those who
There you
have
go.
not.
Can't do that anymore.
no.
And it's just an awful thing. With the middle school orchestra being, it was a bad situation that put us there. Middle school orchestra after school, it was a tough decision, I'm sure, to do it for those who had to make that decision.
Yeah.
But it's been a struggle. Many students couldn't sign up because they have dance, or they have
Yeah.
Another activity, or they couldn't get transportation
Well,
because
transportation is
their parents
huge.
That's yeah. Well,
no
we did
transportation.
before school course and after school course, when we toyed with those things, I know a lot of the kids missed out because they couldn't get the
Yeah.
transportation for it.
So now, if orchestra returns, it's tough if they didn't play for this one year. They might say, "Well, now I'll be behind." So every
I didn't
time
even think of
something,
that. That's
every
right.
time something happens like this, it takes years to recover to where you were. So we were just kind of getting back from COVID. That takes years to recover. We were just building again, and now this happens. So now we have to rebuild again.
Yeah.
So that's something we have to keep in mind when we're considering budget cuts
Yeah.
and music programs and art programs, is that you can't just bring it back. It's like cutting a tree down.
That's a really good point.
That is
I
a
didn't,
very
I
It's
didn't
cutting
think
a
of
tree
that.
down, and
That's a great
it's got to
analogy.
regrow. It's got to
Yeah, you can't
start
just say,
over
okay,
again.
next year we'll put it back.
Exactly. It doesn't happen. It
It
I,
doesn't
doesn't
work
I
that way.
never, that was a piece I hadn't thought about. Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, that's true.
we'll be rebuilding again.
Yeah. You know what I think about too is I think about all the people that you bring on and that you train and that become part of the kids' lives, and then they're gone, and we've lost some talented people,
Wonderful
haven't we?
people.
That to me is really heartbreaking,
It really is.
right?
Yeah.
It's the role models and these people that connect with kids, and then we lose them. You know?
I think of that almost daily.
Yeah.
Because I
And-
look around me.
And amongst the adults, I have to be honest.
No, that's
yes,
a good
of course,
point.
kids come first, but we have had and have,
Yeah.
because who still here is everybody's wonderful, but we had such a close knit department that worked so well together, And we all had the same philosophy of it's not about the gold. It's not about being the best musicians. It's about cultivating, the relationships. And if that greatness comes along the way, which it has, thankfully,
it has,
then that's great. But that's not the number one priority. The number one priority is educating the students in music and creating a culture of community. And we were all on the same page, and that's not normal. That's not. You don't get that in a lot of communities.
You forget that thing. It's all the bonds and the friendships, and then suddenly those people are gone.
And
I
they're
didn't even
gone.
think of that because it's the it's the mental health of our educators we have to look out for too.
Exactly.
And I just my final question is sort of the resources around teachers to support those in the classroom or whatever. It's counselors and support people. Can you speak to maybe just a little bit about the importance of not letting those go so that teachers on the front lines can do their jobs and have the support of counselors, how important that is to everything? I think we have to keep stressing that. Would you agree with me on that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I see it daily. It's tough, and you're very thankful when you have the support in those classrooms, but God forbid a teacher's out and there's no subs, there's always a sub shortage, and so that person is pulled to cover in the classroom, and then they don't come to your special, and you see it, and those children don't have the supports that they need in music. I'm speaking just to my experience,
but you're right.
I see that all the time when it's just, and the shortage, and we're sharing. It's.
I always felt, and I think that the best way that counselors could be supporting was be in the cafeteria and watch the interactions. Be in the classrooms. How do you help them get better if you're not watching what they're doing and interacting? You see the shy kid, you see the acting out kid. What were the triggers? What with this? We haven't been able to have people in the classrooms and to observe this and to be and to see, where a lot of stuff happens in the cafeteria. Some of that bullying, unstructured time, out on the playground, to have people out there and observing and noticing, and we've lost that whole kind of thing that's going on. And say, you got enough counselors. No. Given the enormity of the mental health issues that teachers are facing, that parents are facing, it's just,
You don't understand it unless you see it. You don't see that trickle down.
Yeah. But I think that's why this conversation is so important, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that people sometimes think that when you watch Leave It to Beaver and you see the kids sitting like this with Miss Landers, and they think, okay, take out your textbooks, kids, and read your book, now go. And that school's not like that. But people, maybe from my generation, think schools are still that way. But but the complexity of what we hit on a little bit, social media, the impact, and bullying, and isolation, and loneliness, and now we're looking at gambling at the high school level. These kids that are getting addicted to gambling and spending hundreds of dollars. These high school kids betting on everything, and it's becoming addicting there.
Right.
We've got the porn addiction. We've got it's just skyrocketing if people don't understand it. But that's why this conversation's so it's depressing, albeit. But not because of you guys. But thank you. I want to thank you for coming and being out there and fighting. And just making sure not giving up. It's easy to say, I quit or I'm not, but being out there on the front lines and say this matters, and we're going to keep getting out there and fighting, right?
I feel fortunate every day to have what I have.
Is there anything I didn't ask that you would want to say that, before we conclude? I know you're busy and I don't want to keep you, but I want to make sure that if there's anything we left out.
I told Diane walking in here, I feel funny not having my guitar, because every time I show up here, I show up with a guitar, and I was going to sing a song or even my ukulele.
And your hat with the hair on the top.
But I feel like
You have a hat with hair?
Oh yeah, I do.
I bet the
That's what
kids
you should have come with.
I should have come with it, because the kids get a kick out of it, because they'll be like, that's fake. And I'll be like, no, it's real fake hair. See?
But I know it lasts, closer than the two, but I just keep thinking about especially about men in education. It's and to have these great role models and that are funny and humorous and kind and look out for them and care for them and notice them and see them, right? And see them every day and say, I see you, I know who you are. Matters more than anything, and they won't forget you. So
that's nice that you said that, because I do try to make an effort to say hello to every single kid, just because I was one of those kids that might just get overlooked. We all were, right? So just
I think
people how it feels.
Underestimate the value of just hello, I see you, or just say, hey, you know what? How did that go yesterday? Or hey, did you get a haircut? Or I don't know.
Yes.
But to see them, right? Just too many are not seen anymore. And I think as more parents get deep into their own cell phones, and you know, the kids
That's a
are
good
feeling a
point.
little bit lost a bit. So,
Right.
but thank you for being advocates and for the work that you do, and I really do appreciate you coming here today. And I want to thank everyone today for watching, and I want to thank Chris Flynn, our producer, and Franklin Cable Access TV for making sure that these important conversations are brought out to the community. It really matters. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.